back.
There he is. Okay. Is everybody ready to go?
Phones up.
I hereby call the City Council meeting for the City of Buellton, March 12th, to order. If I could get Councilmember Andresic to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please follow with me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Roll call, Linda.
Councilmember Andresic.
Here.
Councilmember King.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Here.
Mayor Sierra.
Here. Thank you very much. Any reordering of the agenda tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council, I would like to recommend that the City Council remove item number 6 from the agenda at the request of the interested parties.
Thank you very much. All right.
Building requirement, village.
The village specific.
Yeah, yeah. 266 goes from.
All righty. We move on now to our public comments. This is for anybody in the audience to get up and speak about any item they want on the agenda or off the agenda. I do have one speaker slip, well, 2 speaker slips, wonderful, from Robert Ramirez and Karen Waite. Robert Ramirez is the exalted ruler of the Elks Lodge in Lompoc. Karen Waite is Santa Ynez. I'm sorry, sir. Oh my gosh, that's Karen Waite is a council member with the city of Solvang and a member of the Santa Ynez Elks Lodge as well. Please, welcome.
Good to speak.
It's a big audience, so I understand the nerves.
It's about the size of my lodge. Thank you for allowing me to come in this evening, Mayor Hawley and City Councils. On behalf of our Americanism program that we have through Elks Nation throughout the United States, we have an award that we present to individuals or businesses or cities who properly fly the American flag 365 days a year properly, lighted during the night, always up during the day,
Thank you, John.
never taken down unless half-mast. This year, I am awarding the City of Buellton the awards for all the flags that are properly flied. So Karen would like to take a photograph of all of us if we could. We send this to the national paper as well for Elkton. So
Thank you very, very much. We have 2 council members, John Sanchez in particular, who was responsible for getting the lighting back on Avenue of Flags for our flags. And,
Thank you, John.
And Andresic, who is very concerned about all flags being flown as they should be. Not tattered, torn, not in the dark. So
I've known John and I've known Ed for a very long time.
there you go.
I would like-
Step on up. We'll get a picture right here.
I'd like to thank
That's
city
okay.
staff for getting out there and doing, they have an app on their phone and they get up and run, and when the command comes, they run out and take care of business, so they're
That's
they're
awesome.
very good.
Avenue of Flags has always been my thing anyway since I've been a kid.
Isn't it cool?
Oh, yeah. I think it's the only place that I've ever seen it really done that way. But this is for you.
Thank you. Why don't we get you right here,
Okay.
right there?
You get in the middle.
Between the 2. Karen, you want to, either side? There we go. We'll just do this. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
All right, let's see what we
Holly, hold it up. There you go.
Hold on.
Look up here.
Yeah, I did all as much as I can. Thank you.
Karen will send you a picture.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go, come on. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
If I can give this to you so we can get it
Yep.
framed and hung up at
Thank
City
you
Hall.
Okay.
Thank you, and I'm off to my emergency meeting for solving now.
Oh, no. Solving doesn't do those.
We are.
Yes.
Thank you.
I know you're being facetious there.
Excused? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Y'all have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it.
We appreciate you all.
Our next speaker, Michael Baker.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Michael Baker, CEO, United Boys and Girls Clubs. just wanted to give you a couple updates. First and foremost, most importantly, we are now up to 316 kids enrolled at Buellton, which is phenomenal. Our goal was 20. You weren't here yet, so our goal was 20. So we've done pretty well there. But I will tell you, significant concern I have, and I know this isn't the area to, but if we can get the word out, obviously with the virus that's happening, our position as an organization is going to be, when schools close, we have to close. There's just no way for us to be open because we're actually on a school campus too. So I don't know how we could keep the Boys and Girls Club open. Big concern that I have, and I know a lot of folks have the same concern, but a lot of people aren't aware of it. We have a lot of children here in Buellton who qualify for the free and reduced lunch program at schools. And when there's no school, there's no lunch. And that's going to be a big issue here. It's going to be a really big issue because a lot of the parents that live here don't work in Buellton. They're, as many of you know, they're driving 30, 40 minutes on the road. So not only are the kids going to be home alone, a lot of them, because there won't be after-school programming, a lot of organizations aren't going to be able to serve kids. They're going to be hungry. So I'm throwing my name out there as an organization and what we can do we need to put some type of, I don't know if it's coalition, whatever it is, but we need to address this issue because it's going to be a big issue. God willing, the schools don't close, but reality is there's a very good chance it could happen. And if that does happen, you're going to have a lot of kids that rely on the school for their breakfast and lunch. And it's not because parents are taking advantage of it, and I know Ed knows that very well. He knows the families that we're talking about. They do not, it's not taking advantage of the situation. I was one of those kids. So it's near and dear to my heart because I had that card that got me breakfast and lunch in school. So this is something that is very, very serious. And if there's anything we can do to be helpful, if you have any ideas, we're more than happy to be part of the solution.
So you close down during school break and the summertime?
No, we're open. We're open the whole time. We don't close. The Boys and Girls Club doesn't close. We will close, though. We will close when the schools close. If they close because of the virus,
Got it.
I can't, there's no way for us as an organization
Right.
to justify being open. I couldn't defend that. There's just no way to defend that, as much as I hate closing.
Wow.
So, anyways, I know it's not the time for comments back and forth, but I just wanted to make you aware of that, and I will leave you my card, which I think I've given to you before.
Yes.
But if you do have somebody that sees this,
Absolutely.
comes forward, yeah.
Michael, before you leave, there was an email this afternoon from the food bank, and they are trying to address that situation. Also, I had a meeting this afternoon with the Chamber of Commerce, with Kathy, and she's all prepared to make sure someone steps up as well, you know, talk to businesses and make sure something, how that does work out. So it is in the, not
Good.
so much, it's a thought process that's going on.
Nothing finalized.
Nothing is finalized, but the food bank is willing to, and they've set up a number both for the North County and the South County.
Beautiful.
And they're also talking about not just school, but seniors and people who are, if this becomes a really big issue. So that is in the works.
I appreciate that, and you've got our information. If there's anything we can do to be helpful, we do have vehicles that we can help transport food and do things with. So that's another area where we could be helpful with from the Boys and Girls Club. So,
Michael,
just,
thank you.
oh no, thank you all for what you do.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I love living in Buellton. Love it.
If I can chime in for just a moment.
Please.
I'll have a little more information on this in our city manager's report toward the end of the meeting. But word coming out of the Public Health Department today with regard to the order that's expected, or may have been issued already, will exempt school classrooms from the gathering prohibitions. So for at least the time being, unless the school decides to close, the county health department will not be enforcing the closure of schools.
One other thing, Madam Mayor, I know one of the school districts in another city that I serve they are closing, but they're going to keep some of their sites open sort of regionally around the area that they cover for the purpose of serving lunches. They're not going to open for breakfast, but they are going to open for lunches. They're asking for volunteers from the community, so I know that that's an option. I don't know if it's an option for the school district here, but it certainly, obviously, the Boys and Girls Club seems to have capable people that would be willing to work with them on providing those lunches. So there are a variety of different ways that communities are handling this for those children who definitely need that lunch.
I had a question. The Parks and Rec Department would be open still, right? I mean, at the school,
If schools are closed.
well, I don't know, aren't we separate from the school?
We have a joint use agreement with the school district, and I'd need to review the contract with
Just like the gym, we can use it.
the joint use agreement and find out what it says.
Yeah.
We'll look into all the options there.
Okay.
That may be a good item to discuss at an upcoming joint use committee meeting that we'll be having shortly.
26.
Thank you for bringing it to
I'm
our
gonna check the
attention.
Thank you.
legalities.
Thank you for what you do. Appreciate your service.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay. Closing public comment. Moving on to the consent calendar, we have 2 items. We have the minutes of February 27th, 2020, regular city council meeting, and list of claims to be approved and ratified for payment to date for fiscal year 2019-20.
Move for approval.
Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye. Thank you. Any public hearings tonight? Okay. Councilmember comments / items. Councilmember King, do you have any comments or items that you want brought back to council?
Other than the fact that I'm disappointed that we canceled the chili festival.
August 30th, huh?
August 30th.
August
We could.
30th is
Everybody come
the,
to my house, no coronavirus there.
What time?
It'll be about 10:30. Yeah,
You gotta bring a chili for competition.
okay.
yeah, chili competition in my
Madam Mayor, I
backyard.
do.
There you go.
I have one.
Councilmember Ed, what are your
And
comments
I'm not
/
sure,
items?
you know, maybe the whole council was included in this, but we've received emails from a paving operation that has a different style of paving, and and I copied the email and shared it with Scott, and I'm asking that we try to consider this in a future agenda item, or ask them to at least come and give us a demonstration, because specifically these cracks we had in the Meadow Ridge area versus digging up we talked about the cost of digging them up. If they have something that they feel strongly about, I don't know, and I know you were gonna ask Rose about it, but I thought,
Have we
maybe
had a
could
chance
all-
to investigate the street yet?
I know the city engineer has been out to the street to take a look at it, and she's kind of developing her thoughts recommendation-wise. I will discuss with her the product that Councilmember Adresic has brought to our attention, and we'll see if there's any applicability of that product here, whether it would make the job easier, cheaper, and if it shows some promise, then we could talk about having them come and possibly demonstrate for us.
Thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Councilmember Sanchez, any comments / items besides Chili Fest?
No, I'm just sorry that we're losing the revenues and the action in town. Hopefully,
Oh my gosh, our chambers worked so hard
I know.
to get that thing ready to go. That's just sad. Vice Mayor Mercado?
Other than that, Kathy and her team have been working hard. You know, it's you look at all what they've had to do to this point. You know, all the advertising that's kind of unfortunately shot out the wind, because you're not going to get those back. But I think Kathy and her team will bounce back, and hopefully we'll have the full support of the council to just make sure our chamber hangs in there.
Yeah, when you start thinking about the money involved in all of this, it's not just our chamber, but all these events across the country that are
Yeah.
just, really bad.
You know, perhaps just for consideration, you buy an airline ticket or a cruise ticket, and you can get insurance if the ship doesn't sail. And I just wondered if Greg might hear something that the cities can, I'm sure they'll be trying to recover the expenses they've made for all the various things that are being canceled. Just a thought.
And we will certainly be looking into what options there are. The county, if it moves forward with the order they were talking about today, will declare a state of emergency, of health emergency, which will make the county and therefore all of the cities within the county eligible for federal disaster aid. And to the extent that that can be applied to any losses we see here, we'll do what we can to pursue that.
Wonderful, thank you.
Try to make lemonade out of sour grapes, sour lemons.
And I would like to, I guess this arts and culture, the document, the consent rules, there's starting to be differing opinions. I'd just like to bring it back to council, just for clarification. I don't know, you serve on the board, have you noticed that there's like two directions going and?
The other, it's in its infancy, and they're having, figuring out some things that just don't apply. We had our discussions at the meeting, and without looking at the agenda in front of me, there was things that were
Would it
we
help
thought-
if there were clarification from council?
if you wanted to have some input, that would be very well. That's why they're going to present that document, Kyle, and then it's open for discussion.
Okay.
There's nothing set in stone.
Terrific. Thank you. I've talked to members on the council, and I've talked to Kyle, and I just think that maybe some clarification from council moving forward would help.
We'll bring that back at a
That
future
would
meeting.
be
Thank you.
invited. That'd be-
Yeah.
Somebody knows
So-
some more about the rules, and because I know there's different rules. We are in a nonprofit, or there's
It's brand, yeah,
yeah.
it's just starting.
There's certain rules. Some people know the rules better than others, and I'm not an authority on it. But some things don't apply.
I appreciate
in
you
the
serving
rules.
on it. I truly do.
And I'm new, so
I expect good things to come out of that
hopefully.
group. Okay, any written communications?
No, ma'am.
Committee reports? Anybody have committee reports?
Not since
None?
our last
I have
Yeah.
a report for the Arts and
Please.
Culture Committee.
Good.
So,
Speaking of,
well, in the, Jamie Dietenhofer from Figueroa Mountain Brewery called and asked me if there was something, if he would offer a space for art down there, because in the Funk Zone in Santa Barbara, they have the gates that come down in front of all the businesses, and somebody put murals on front of the gates, and he's been involved in arts and culture in there, and they've had art shows there in and out. And so he just offered it to me. If we wanted to do something, we could go in there, because he's got blank fence, and so I actually had the Arts and Culture Committee go meet at Figueroa Mountain Brewery for the meeting, so that we could have a site visit and see what they thought. And the ideas were that the Arts and Culture Committee couldn't benefit a business, so that they didn't think it could be inside the business, because that would be favoritism towards a business. But Jamie just is, he just wants to offer himself, so it was a good idea. He wants to also, if we're going to have some kind of an arts festival, we could have it down, he'd like to have it down there just for, the industrial way. And so it was just for discussion, but it was interesting. We had a small meeting, and it was kind of,
fun. That's the whole idea.
it was nice.
Thank you. Our green team met today, and we are getting closer to putting out a call for the projects. Remember the Cash for Grass landscaping? We are restructuring it a little bit, hoping for council's okay on this. Since it's to beautify Buellton, we would be excluding backyards. We would be including landscaping costs, the physical work, because some of our residents aren't able to actually, they can use the money to purchase drought-tolerant plants, but they don't have the means to put it in. So it would be $2 per square foot for up to, I think it was $750?
I think it was around
750 max.
Yes.
It would include local businesses to help beautify them. And that's about it. It would have some hardscape component, but with drought-tolerant planting as well, and bonus points if you put a tree in. So that was the green team. We also had a wonderful presentation from Santa Barbara County. They talked to us. I'm hoping we can get some of these printed up for City Hall. It's a free energy check on your home, where they come in and they walk around your house, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, and give you ideas on how you can save energy and your bills. So hopefully, we can get that going in Buellton. Anyway, that's it for the green team. Thank you.
No SBK.
No, SBCAG was canceled. The mayor's meeting for tomorrow has been canceled. Yeah, pretty quiet. Moving on to business items, agenda item number 3, resolution number 20-04, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, adopting the fiscal year 2020/21 list of projects funded by SB1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act. Ms. Hess.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Member City Council. In 2017, the state enacted a voter-approved additional gas tax, and this additional gas tax is distributed annually to eligible cities and counties for basic road maintenance and rehab projects. So for the City of Buellton, for fiscal year 2021, the estimated revenue for this additional gas tax is $102,990. As part of the SB1 requirements to be eligible, the cities must provide a proposed list of projects via resolution that the funds will be applied to. So in Exhibit A in your attached resolution, we provide the map for the next road maintenance project that is scheduled for 2021, and we itemize all the streets that's included in this project. So in this project for that fiscal year, the location is McMurray Road, north and south of State Highway 246 and Industrial Way. And both projects will have extensive work and repairs needed to it, which will be reflected in when we do the mid-year budget adjustment. But for this particular project, all we have to do is provide a map that shows the locations and call out all the limits of the actual road that will be used with these funds. So with that, staff is recommending that council approve resolution 92, no, not, sorry, resolution 20-04, and direct staff to submit the application and project online.
All righty, thank you. First, any questions for our Public Works Director? I had just one. The industrial and McMurray, they both need to be done. By the time we get the funding for this, will McMurray be totally ready to go? Because I know we're talking about we've been looking at widening one part of McMurray for like forever, and
Right.
then the traffic coming down, we were going to study that.
Yes.
Is it ready for paving?
It is ready for paving. The development just needs to cap Valley Vineyard Road, which we're anticipating that to occur in the next few months. After that, the two developments that are left with the project, which is the hotel site and the senior center, we don't know when that's going to come in. So at that point, we just need to continue our portion of the project. We're still working with the gas company as far as our widening project, but we don't want to wait for that also. The road is in need of repair, and it's been on the schedule for a while, so we need to make sure that that's a drivable area.
Thank you. Opening it up to public and closing it down from the public, unless you have any comments on McMurray or industrial paving? None? Okay. Bringing it back to council for discussion and action.
I vote resolution 20-4 as stated.
Second.
All righty.
For comment, I would say I'm happy to be living when something's done on McMurray.
Wait till you see the new
We
hotel.
certainly have beat this thing to death.
Okay, Linda?
We
Vice
should have a
Mayor
parade.
Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Zero.
Aye, thank you. Moving on to resolution number 20-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, adopting a policy on discontinuation of water service for non-payment pursuant to the Water Shutoff Protection Act, which is SB 998. Ms. Zamora.
Madam Mayor and City Council, before you tonight is a resolution for a policy for discontinuation of water service pursuant to SB 998. The state adopted SB 998 in order to minimize the number of Californians who lose access to water for non-payments. SB 998 requires to have a written policy by April 1st, 2020. Although SB 998 only applies to residential water service, the proposed policy also includes commercial and industrial. That way we don't have two separate policies for both. For the new SB 998, the city is required to have a written policy for other requirements of the discontinuation of water for non-payment. The written policy must include a plan for an alternate payment arrangement or alternate payment schedule. It must include a formal appeals process, provide a telephone number for a customer to call and discuss options to avert discontinuation of water. It must be translated into English, Spanish, Chinese, Vietnamese, Tagalog, and Korean, and must be posted in the city's website. Current law states that before water shut off, a customer must be noticed, but with SB 998, it extends the amount of time a customer can be delinquent. Right now, we shut off water after 60 days when the bill is issued. That's what our ordinance said, but with the new SB 998, we're going to change it to define a delinquent bill not paid 60 days after the due date. Before a customer can be discontinued for non-payment, the city must provide a written notice to the water customer no sooner than 7 days before shutoff. This discontinuation notice must be mailed to the customer's residence, include steps the customer can prevent shutoff, and have a web link to the city's written policy. Also, the city must attempt good faith efforts to contact the customer. So we can't reach them by mail and the mail is returned. We have to go to the residence and post a notice that their water may be shut off if payment is not submitted. In addition to that, the new prohibition is for low-income individuals who have a certificate from their primary care provider that discontinuation of water will pose a serious threat to the person residing at the residence, and the customer must demonstrate the inability to pay, and the customer is willing to enter an alternate payment arrangement. And also, water cannot be shut off if the water bill is being appealed. In addition to this, the SB 998 says that the city must attempt to provide notice to renters and mobile home residents that their service may be discontinued due to the delinquent payments made by the landlord. And the new law now allows the residents to have the right to become customers without paying the past due amount of the landlord's account. Right now, the landlord is responsible for the account. The landlord gets shut off, or that whole property gets shut off. But now with SB 998, it protects those renters. In addition, SB 998 also has annual reporting requirements, so the city is now required to post on the website how many shut-off they've had in a year. In addition to that, the city is going to take the additional measures for good faith efforts. The city is going to send a late notice once the payment is past due. Then we will send a late notice. Then we're going to do a 48-hour notice, letting them know you have 48 hours to make payment or else your water will be shut off. We also added to the door hanger, if you get shut off after hours, you sign an agreement that you will contact City Hall the following day. Otherwise, you'll be shut off. Also, the city must post a final notice of intent to disconnect service at least 5 business days before discontinuation of water if the customer fails to comply with their alternate payment arrangement. And in attachment 2 of your packet, I kind of gave you a breakdown of how this whole process looks like. So you can see that a bill that was due March 20th won't be shut off now till May 20th, and they have essentially 3 months to pay if they get shut off. So they really get far behind. There is some additional administrative costs to translate the policy into the required languages. The lowest estimate I received was about $2,900. Some small printing, mailing, and notifications requirements will happen. There may be potential impacts if their delayed payments do not get paid. Luckily, when people get shut off, they pay on the same day, so we shouldn't really see any money there, any loss of revenue. Any implementation costs that cannot be absorbed during the fiscal year 2019-20 will come back for council at a future quarterly budget amendment. Staff recommends that the City Council consider adoption of Resolution Number 20-05, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Buellton, California, adopting a policy on discontinuation of water service for non-payment pursuant to the Water Shutoff Protection Act, SB 998. And I'm open to any questions you may have.
Terrific. Any questions for our Director of Finance? I had a couple. Just to clarify, if the landlord is responsible for paying the water, he doesn't pay the water, the customer can come in and start paying for the water. If there's like a 2-month gap, though, do we go after the landlord for the payments that were not made?
Yes, correct. So the landlord still owes that money. We won't shut off the individual living there. They have to apply for water in their
They have
name.
to pay for it themselves.
And there's potential for us to lose money if we don't collect that.
Okay. And then the other question was, I know you don't have a number for me, but, I mean, what's the percentage of residents in Buellton that have a problem with water payments?
It's really low. I don't know the exact percentage,
Yeah.
but shut off is usually under 5 people.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All righty. Any other questions?
I had a question, wondering if, this seems like it would be a great topic for one of our channel cities get-togethers, which I think we kind of missed a few, just things happening. But I'm curious if other cities have an opinion about this, because it's quite a boondoggle. You know, we're going to could potentially spend $1,000 to chase $300 worth of water, and you know, a business person would say, write it off.
Well, this is SB 998.
I understand.
Yeah.
I understand, but it just seems like the city, it would be nice if the League of California Cities would take a position to explain the pickle that they've put us in, because as I read the attachments, they can wait right up to the day, come in and make a promise to pay and start the clock over again, and it just seems criminal, and I can't believe that a judge would endorse something like that, but I guess that's what's happened here.
In this case, the legislature has, and as you mentioned, Channel Cities, I know my partner Brian Pierick, who's city attorney in Camarillo, their policy is in parts word for word the same as what's in front of you tonight, in all other parts substantially the same. Everyone is adopting practically mirror images of one another because that's what we're being forced to do.
Right. And so that protects us from class action suits, I suppose.
Well, actually, what it allows us to do, as Ms. Zamora said, if we don't have a policy in place that complies with the new statute, then we can't turn water off for non-payment. So the policy has to be in place by the due date, or we lose the right to turn off water for non-payment. So not everyone's favorite thing, but all the cities are doing it.
Okay.
Thank you. Question from you?
No, I was just going to say, when it comes to the state, we are the tail wagging the dog.
I had a question about the translation.
Yeah.
But then it says that you have to have at least 10%, or if you had 10% of somebody that speaks another language, you would have to translate that as well. And I wonder if we require to have 10%
For the ones that are listed.
for the ones that aren't listed, and if so, maybe we could make it a policy that we would have a translator that lives in town. So they would be the ones that probably would do the translating, because there might be 3 people that speak, you know what I mean, to go out and hire for $2,900 for something that I don't think we're gonna need. To me, and also, can this be a policy and then not be enforced? And we can have the policy in writing, but then we could,
In terms of not turning off, I think really the mechanism to follow the policy while still having some leeway is the alternative payment situation. Taking into account what people's circumstances are and being able to work with them. That allows you to still comply with what you have on the books, but it gives enough discretion to not comply, but do so in a way that really understands individuals.
just have an enforcement policy that isn't as costly, you know,
Right.
you're gonna chase a dime,
Right.
you know, that's
Understand?
when you're not gonna lose, you know. Some people are gonna have some water and eventually it'll pay. But chasing it down on Tuesday of this month every time, and
I'm going to open this business item up to the public. I'm bringing it back to council for discussion and possible action.
I do have one more question.
Sure.
When you did this on all the different languages, we're gonna write this in, is this based on our census for the town?
No, these are the 5 required languages.
Okay, gotcha.
Right, so the bill requires those 5, and then if you have others, as you said, where the census hits a certain percentage, then
Right, 10%.
that's where it comes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gentlemen?
I wonder if we could have the policy in 5 languages and always have that available, and then they would have to come and ask, to translate every letter would be costly, but if we had a sheet letter that everybody got and did all,
I think that's the idea.
Yeah, that is the requirement of the policy.
just to give the people the policy in the 5
Right.
languages.
Not-
So we'd
not
only have to
standards.
translate it once and hand them one.
Correct.
5.
Correct.
But I would note that the language that needs to be used is fairly technical, and so you really would need to get likely a professional translator or a translator who is fluent enough in the language, not only in an everyday conversational aspect, but a technical aspect, to make sure that the translation is correct enough to pass state muster.
Anyone? Okay, I move we adopt resolution number 2005 as written.
I'll second it.
Alrighty, Linda?
Okay, Councilmember King,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado,
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik,
Aye.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
And Mayor Sierra.
Aye, thank you. Moving on to business item number 5. Authorization to lease and purchase additional safety and security equipment for city facilities. Mr. Wolf?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. As you're aware, staff has been reviewing the current state of building security for City Hall and other facilities here in town. I have walked through our facilities, particularly City Hall, the Planning Department building, and our Library City Council Chambers building, with both the Sheriff's Department as well as our Alarm and Security Service representative. And I've taken recommendations from both of these entities, and had a recommended list of equipment upgrades presented to us in the form of estimates, and those estimates are included in your packet this evening. There are 4 estimates. 2 of them deal with the City Hall and Library buildings. 2 of them deal with City Hall and Planning Department buildings. 2 of them deal with the Library City Council Chambers building. 1 of each addresses equipment that would be leased from the security service, and it's leased because it's tied in with our monthly service. So we would not be purchasing that, as this equipment would be upgraded as part of our security system. The lease would simply continue. The other estimate for each building addresses equipment that would be purchased, and in large part, the equipment that would be purchased essentially is video equipment. And the video equipment is intended both for interior spaces and exterior spaces. Interior spaces being our lobby and public areas of each building. The exterior spaces being primarily the parking lot areas, but also some areas around the building where there were security concerns raised by the Sheriff's Department. Interior changes that would be leased are primarily involved in additions to the security system, which would include additional panic buttons for the planning department building, because currently there are not panic buttons for each employee there. It would also include smoke alarms for each building where our buildings are not currently adequately alarmed for smoke. We won't get into too much detail here because the detail with regard to placement hasn't yet been fully determined, and we don't want to give away too much when it comes to our security system. But the intent here is to provide video coverage around each building, particularly within the parking lot areas, and have each building's system be able to monitor the parking area of the building across the street. So the cameras in the City Hall parking lot would be able to monitor the library parking lot and vice versa. And that would enable the Sheriff's Department at a later date, should there be an incident, to be able to pick up license plate numbers and such from across the street. The estimates are in front of you here. The grand total for the proposed system upgrades throughout the facilities is $15,775. This is only for the equipment upgrades. There is also additional charges for monthly monitoring, totaling about $73 a month, which is added to our current total of, I believe, which is about $210 or $230 a month. This does not include any physical changes to the structure of the buildings or parking lot improvements, which were discussed with the Sheriff's Department in order to say, further protect the police station building next door, nor does it include any alarm or video surveillance within the police station building next door. If there are concerns in those regards, we will bring those back to the City Council at a later date. I'm happy to answer any questions the council may have, and I'll conclude my report.
Any questions?
I do have one question.
Yes.
Because it was brought up at our joint use committee meeting about the CO2. Do we need to do those alarms here, or because of the HVAC system?
I will check with our security company. I assume that our smoke detectors are also carbon monoxide detectors. Our occupancy for any of the buildings we're talking about here don't reach the point where we have to have a CO2 detector involved. Right, those are for buildings that tend to have larger occupancies where the CO2 level will build up. But I'll ensure that we have carbon monoxide looked into here as well.
John?
Are they, I saw there was a cell service in here, and for phones, would you and Rose or somebody on call be able to monitor from their phone if there was some kind of alarm, whoever could just check and get a visual from Lompoc if that's where they were or whatever?
Yes,
on the cell phones,
that's the intent. The actual SIM device that's included here is to provide communications capability with the alarm system here, between the alarm system here and the monitoring service. But the system itself would allow for remote access from certain members of staff. In the event that there were an alarm going off, we would be able to check in and make determination as to what's going on and what needs to happen.
That's good. Thank you.
While we're doing security, safety and security, you know, I'm always impressed when I drive by the entrance to our water treatment plant. It's secure. And I wonder if we've ever had the discussion, would this be an appropriate time to discuss some sort of fencing around our city property? I know we run into a conflict because the fire department goes flying out, but if they could certainly hit the button to get the gate open, and I think it seems like we're defeating the purpose of security by not addressing something like that.
Yes, you're right. We do have fencing around the back, for lack of a better term, the backyard area of City Hall. But it is something that we've identified as a security and safety weak point, being the lack of access,
Right.
controlled access between the planning department and the city hall buildings. And we will be looking at that as part of the structural improvements to the buildings, and we'll bring that back to the city council at a future
If
date.
we're gonna have a budget item, then it might be good to direct, it, create it proper the first time rather than keep doing it.
Yes, this was something that was identified by the sheriff's department when we walked through as a point to be hit, so we will be bringing that back.
I'm hoping this is a part one.
This is a part, this is
Part
intended
one
to be a
is the
part one.
security
unless the city council says
cameras,
we're done.
The smoke detectors, which I can't believe need to be put in,
Yeah.
but, it kind of surprises me. But the
Me too.
physical improvements, hopefully are part two.
Drones
For,
should be
we're talking about bollards
We would talk, physical improvements might include
For
the
the
bollards
sheriff's-
around the sheriff's
sheriff's
station.
department.
It would include improvements or hardening of the building inside City Hall. We have an entry gate for our front counter, which if someone kind of bumped into it would fall over. We would want to make that a little more sturdy to give staff a couple seconds to respond if there was someone trying to enter. Our planning department building want to do things like put locks on all the office doors there. Just things that
Yeah.
should be taken care of from a safety perspective. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Certainly.
Did we get any estimates from anybody besides Exclusive?
We did not in this case, and the reason we didn't do that is, and I can certainly do that at least on the equipment that's to be purchased. The equipment to be leased it would be included as part of our ongoing security system, so unless we wanted to put that security service contract out to bid again, we probably would need to just extend the service we're already purchasing.
Is Exclusive our current?
Yes, Exclusive is our
So this would
current.
just be a tack on to what they're doing there?
Exactly, and the purchased equipment is compatible with their system.
Okay. I did the math on that, and it looks like it would almost be better that we bought the equipment and owned it outright, because in the long run, you're gonna end up paying more money for that lease. So,
We are buying the equipment, aren't
We
we?
Well,
were
there's
buying
two options
video
here.
equipment.
yeah, there's some options here.
The equipment-
Lease or buy. And I
Right.
think if you really do the math on this, and if we have it for 10 years, it will cost us more money to lease than it would to purchase.
Yes, if we kept it for that long. The question that comes up with that, and I can certainly discuss it with Exclusive additionally, but over time, as security technology advances, if there are upgrades to the system that are necessary and we're leasing that equipment, that should be included as upgrades in the system as that goes. Whereas if we purchase it, we're stuck with the equipment
Right.
we've got
The
until
old
we want to
model.
purchase it
Right.
additionally.
Well, for peace of mind, why don't you ask them both of those options, like, could you have a trade-in value on your old equipment? Because a lot of places will do that.
Sure.
A lot of companies will let you trade in your old stuff for an upgrade, like a cell phone.
Right.
So maybe we could pencil that out, the difference between the two. And another question you may ask them is, what's the longevity of that
Okay.
equipment that they're putting in? What's their normal time span
Right.
for degradation on equipment
Okay.
like that?
All righty. Opening it up to the public. Closing it back from the public. So this would be to authorize our city manager to do the lease and purchase for the safety security equipment. Are you comfortable if we make a motion to leave it to our city manager to investigate all this before he signs an agreement, or do you want it to come back?
Yeah, if you just
Right.
touch on those issues, and whatever you think's the best course of action for that.
We approve the funds, and then if it's all fine, it would be done, or we wait
I think we're
to
approving
review?
that now.
We would authorize him to
Authorize
move
everything.
forward.
If the costs for a purchase come in less expensive or less than the amount we're talking about here, then I'll go ahead and execute the contract. If there's a cost in excess of what the city council is approving tonight, we'll bring it back to the council for additional review.
That'd be fine.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to do that.
All righty, there's a motion.
I'll second
Second.
it.
Look, go ahead, Art.
I'll second it
Vice
then.
Mayor Mercado gave the second. Linda?
Okay, Councilmember Sanchez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Mercado.
Aye.
Councilmember Andrusik.
Aye.
Councilmember King.
Aye.
And Mayor Sarah.
Aye, thank you. City managers report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of items on the city manager's report this evening. The first one is just to let the city council know, for those of you who don't, that was it Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock in the rain. Several hardy souls gathered at Median 2 on Avenue of Flags for a groundbreaking ceremony to celebrate the city's initiation of construction on the median improvements on Median 2. It was, as I said, a small but hardy group of people. A couple shovels full of dirt were overturned, pictures were taken, but there is a commemoration of the initiation of construction there. The construction has begun, and it should be complete by mid-September, weather permitting. I'll throw that out there.
There are no hard hats?
No
Right
hard
here?
hats.
I was trying to get that.
We were undercover. We didn't, no heavy equipment on the site.
She
It was-
did.
Okay.
I was working.
Secondly, I did want to give the city council an update on the current state of the county public health department's coronavirus, or COVID-19 as the disease is now known. Earlier this afternoon at 2 o'clock, there was a conference call with county public health, and they invited all of the cities in the county and other agencies to participate in that conference call. And the purpose of that was to advise all of the agencies of a pending order declaring a public health emergency within the county. We expect that order has already been issued, although I have not yet received it. What that order essentially does is it takes the State Department of Public Health statement, guidance document that was presented by the governor yesterday or early this morning, I don't recall which one it was, and moves that from the status of a guidance document into the state of a formal order that is enforceable by the county health officer. So what we have is essentially is going to be what we're told is a prohibition on gatherings of more than 250 people at any given time. This will not affect directly our Wine and Chili Festival, as that was postponed prior to this coming forward. However, there is the Solvang Century Bike Ride, which is scheduled to take place registration starting tomorrow, and the ride taking place on Saturday, which expected in excess of 3,000 persons. I have been on the phone today with the organizers of that event, advising them that at current point they have a permit to operate that race within the city, but if the county should issue this order, we would be required to revoke that permit under the health officer's direction, and we would do so. They understand. We'll be working with them to try and minimize the hardship on the race organizers tomorrow. Other than that, we'll keep the city council advised if there are any other changes that come out of this. Once we get the formal order in place, I'll make sure each of you get a copy of it so you understand what we're looking at here in the future. I will tell you that I expect that this will have some sort of an economic impact on the city and the city's businesses. There's not a whole lot we can do about it right now other than try and comply as best as we can. As far as the city staff, we have been looking at ways in which we can implement what we anticipated would be orders for what the county, or what everyone's referring to as social distancing, minimizing the number of people in one place at any given location. We have devised a plan wherein a number of our staff can work from home, minimizing the number of staff that have to be in City Hall at any given time. We can rotate in and out. And as long as the county order is in place, we will do our best to adhere to that order, but maintain staffing at a level such that City Hall business can take place as normal. If it needs to get a little more aggressive than that, then we can look at ways in which we can limit the public access to City Hall for things like paying the water bill, and try and find ways to make it easier for the public to do that without actually having to visit City Hall. We'll also keep the City Council advised of that. But I wanted to let you all know that's what's going on. If you have any questions that I can answer, I'll be happy to take a guess, but without the order in front of me, I really don't know the specifics at this point.
Anything else?
I had a question about the timeline. If they call it at noon tomorrow, we then everything happens at noon, or do we have 48 hours to comply? I know you have a public meeting or something, you have to have some kind of a leeway, or I didn't know what they get.
The exemptions that and I mentioned this a little earlier, there are a number of exemptions that the that are expected to be included in this order, one of which being exemptions for school classrooms. While they will be working with the school districts to minimize the number of assemblies or sporting events where they have large numbers of people gathered, the classrooms themselves will not, at this point at least, be prohibited from being utilized by the schools under the current order, the order that's coming out. I don't expect City Hall is going to be told we have to close.
But if the organizers of this event come and they say, you didn't give us due notice and we're rolling, we've got people coming and could come back, is there any way it could come back to?
That's beyond our control. We did not revoke our permit, and we will not revoke our permit until the county health officer orders that, and at that point, it becomes an issue that the county health department will have to enforce.
Shandell said they ordered it at 6:30.
Oh, 6:30? Thank you. Yeah.
Do we have
So
that?
we'll take, it's probably in the email here. I will make sure that everyone gets it here before you go to bed this evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, with regard to the new direction, the continuing harassment of cities, the city managers meet regularly, right?
Quarterly, yes.
Quarterly, okay. I would be interested, or I would hope that they would collectively find some way for us to try to stop this barrage of neutering governments for the benefit of the public.
Well, that is that's the goal of the League of California Cities with regard to the legislature and actions that are taken in Sacramento. This is a little bit different in that it's a public health emergency as declared by the county health officer. I will say that San Luis Obispo and Ventura counties have also issued a very similar order or are anticipated to do that. And the expectation is that other counties in the state are going to be following suit very soon if they have not already done that. I don't know that there's a lot of lobbying that the city can do to counteract this because it's very much I won't say there's not a political aspect to it, but it's the
public
county health
safety.
officer
It's
making a
public
determination
safety.
on public health, which is the county health officer's purview, and there's not a lot that the city can do to intervene in that.
Yeah, I figured we were safe coming tonight. We haven't broken 250 people here yet.
And we don't anticipate the need to eliminate city council meetings or have remote.
We keep our distance.
One thing that was not mentioned earlier, I know we're skipping just a little bit, but last week was our State of the City. And our city manager had his first State of the City, and I wanted to commend you for doing a good job. So, that's it?
That's it.
Mr. Murphy?
Thank you, ma'am. The council will now adjourn to closed session for 3 items. 2 real property negotiations is listed fully in the agenda, and 1 item of potential initiation of litigation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.